everybody. It's tequila time. The past events of this week have got me to thinking, and I wanted to talk about small tequila brands. On the Agave Social Club, we had a Zoom with the brand Ramari. You may have seen that I did a video on this and the tasting of this brand, this small brand that comes out of NOM 1414. We had a discussion, a Zoom call with the owner, and it weighed a little heavy on me that, what do we do as consumers to help these small brands? And that's kind of a difficult thing to talk about because they sometimes can't be everywhere. They have to start somewhere and then move on from there. So, these brands are like Ramari and Manscrito and Yeyo, Lost Lore, Siempre, and many, many others. That's just to name a few. If we look at my shelves, there's probably more small brands than there is larger brands. And what do I consider to be larger brands? Well, larger brands to me, even though, we are staying within the additive-free category and or craft. Larger brands would be Cascoin, which is not very big, but they make tequila for other people. G4, Ocho, those NOMs, NOM 1414, 1123, 1579, 1474, 1146, and so on. They make tequila for other brands. And then there's family brands that may make a few other tequilas for somebody else, but mostly they make it for themselves. And you're looking at Arete, you're looking at Fortaleza, you're looking at El Tequilino, you're looking at Anastasio, and so on. And there's more and more and more. They only make tequila for themselves. But you have new brands like Zumbador and, of course, Ramari and Cultura 100 that comes out of 1414. Zumbador doesn't, but those two do. And so what do we do as consumers? Because these people work very hard, and they've invested hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to produce a product for us to buy. And as consumers, and I don't consider myself to be an influencer, though there's a couple of people that I know that keep telling me I am. That's not what I'm here to educate more than to promote. But these brands, every year there's more. Some of them are good. Some of them are great. Some of them are pathetic. But, somebody's got to try it. Somebody believes in it. Somebody invests money into it. And somebody creates these flavor profiles. Or, in the case of the families, they do that themselves. But they have years and years and years of experience to do these things. And so I was monitoring a conversation or a post from Alex from Siempre, and somebody had asked him, in this present market, would you start a tequila brand? And he's like, no, there's too many out there to compete for shelf space, and getting into, as many states as possible, getting into the proper markets. It's a very tough, it's dog-eat-dog game to do this for tequila. And as, like I said, as consumers, when we find a brand that we like, or we've gotten a sample from somebody that lives in another state, or we go out on a limb and buy a bottle that we really don't know anything about, and then when we taste it, we're like, oh my God, everybody needs to know about this. And then that's the way we feel about some of these newer brands, Cultura 100. I have friends that are involved with this, which is important to me, but it's really good tequila. Ramari. The special thing about this, one, it comes from 1414. Sergio Cruz is all over this. But the special thing about this is the sake yeast. Nobody else had done that up to this point. And this stuff throws a whole nother, what do I want to call it, realm of possibilities in the tequila. They start out with sake yeast during fermentation. Of course, it does get some of the wild yeast because it's open air fermentation. But its primary yeast is sake yeast, which brings out the citrus in the tequila, especially the Blanco. And so you get all these. Oh, I got an itch. Sorry. You get all these aromas and flavors that affect how these, because each tequila, even if it's all, let's say they're all made of 1414, each one of those has to be different. Whether it's fermentation times, what you ferment with, how the agaves are cut, how close, do they leave the pincas on? How much of that? How much of the green do they leave on? All of those affect what barrels they're rested in when they become, reposados and then yejos and extra añejos. What barrels do you use to do that? You've got big brands like I said, like Ocho and G4, though they still make some stuff for other people. It's usually pretty limited. 1414 on how many brands they make tequila for seems to be great big, but it's not. It's a family-run distillery that is just able to produce a lot of tequila and they have a lot of, they have some really great people to accomplish that project, those products. And so these people that start these brands, in talking to the owners of Ramari, he is investing his own money, his retirement, into starting this brand. And he works a regular job. And then after he's done with his regular job, he starts in on the tequila. And spends another 8, so he works 16, 18 hours a day just to keep this whole thing going. One, to keep the lights on at the house, and the other one to try to keep the tequila flowing through the markets he's trying to get into. So as consumers, we buy these and we tell our friends, and we go to bottle shares with clubs, and as people like me that really, really are into tequila, we create clubs, and we do bottle shares, and we sponsor events, and we sponsor tastings, we bring the brand owner in, or we bring some people from the distillery in to talk about that particular tequila. And then of course, with the clubs that are way bigger than some of the other ones, they sponsor festivals, and there's all these tequila festivals going on, mostly in the western United States. There's some, out on the East Coast, and there's a couple things going on here in the Kansas City area. But, nothing like what they're doing in California and Arizona and Texas and places like that. It's just, that's not happening here. But the reason being is the tequila culture in those areas is way larger than what we're doing here in Kansas City. So, beating around the bush. So, there's groups like the New York, New Jersey Agave Club. What else? There's, the Michigan Agave Society and the Carolina Tequila Collective. And now, here in Kansas City, we started out as a Facebook page, but we have decided, CJ has decided to go ahead and push this to the next level. And the next level for us here in Kansas City is we have started the Kansas City Tequila Hunters Club. We were having our first bottle share here kind of pretty quick. If you're interested in coming and seeing what we're all about, we'll be at Old Shawnee Pizza. Just a second, I got to get the exact date. So on April 2nd, we're doing a Lagrimas tequila tasting at Old Shawnee Pizza. That's reserved so if you're interested, go to the Facebook page for Kansas City Tequila Hunters, and you can reserve a spot. On April the 16th, again, check out the Facebook page. We are doing a club bottle share, and we will be discussing things that we are going to do as a club, as far as barrel picks, tasting events. I got a message today from CJ that he wants to do a regular third Thursday of every month bottle share at Old Shawnee Pizza, which would be great because that gets us on a we can talk about new things that come up every month, what trips CJ is making to Mexico, if we go as a group to Mexico to pick a barrel or just to do distillery tours. Those kind of things are going to get brought up. And, sometimes when we do things as a group, it's kind of a better thing. And especially if you're new to tequila and you want to go down to Tequila, Mexico, and you want to see, having people with you that are more versed in what's going on and can explain or can help guide you through those types of things. Getting back to small brands. There's two in particular that really come to mind off the top of my head. Maybe I'll say three. But Ramari, Manscrito, which is right over here, right behind my thumb. These are really small brands. One's owned by a husband and wife. The other one's owned by three friends. This one's owned by one single person. They are a small market brand that just needs to grow. The problem is, to grow in the U.S., you need to be in at least three locations: California, New York, and Florida. Those are large markets. Those will consume most of your product once they're on the shelf and once they're out to consumers. But small markets, and the problem with that is in large markets, you are the hero for the week, you are the hero for the month, and then you just kind of die off. Small markets like Kansas City, Denver, St. Louis, Chicago, Indiana is in general, Michigan. These are smaller markets that have not as many consumers, but in those areas are very passionate consumers. Myself, CJ, my friend Jamie, my sister and her husband, Brad. We want to be involved in more and more things locally that promote tequila. We enjoy the spirit. We enjoy, the sense of community that it brings. So to promote those things, but see, what some people don't understand is that unlike going overseas, going to Europe, going to Asia, or even in Mexico, to sell tequila in those places other than the United States is a fairly easy process. You get approved by the nation, and it's done. U.S., partially because many reasons that I don't really want to get into. Each state is individual, and it is not uniform. There are state-run. There are ones that are not run by the state. Kansas and Missouri is one of those that is not run by the state. But each state's requirements are different. In the Kansas-Missouri area, Kansas is the easiest one to start a new brand, which is why we saw Zumbador first come in like gangbusters into Kansas. Lost Lore came into Kansas. Suerte came into Kansas as a brand new brand. Those went into Kansas first and then finally matriculated into Missouri. Larger, more established brands like Cascaween and Ocho and Fortaleza, when you can find it, G4, Arete, those have been around for a while. They are very well established brands and they sell well. And then you've got all the industrial junk that sits on the bottom shelf or maybe in a separate aisle all by itself. The brands that we as lovers of tequila don't like. So it's things like that. There's a lot of tequila that I can't buy that is on my shelves that I can't buy here. Alto Canto, Cholo is another one. Ramari, Cultura 100. What else? And there's more. Those are examples, great examples. Manscrito I can't buy here. It's not here yet. Though they want to come to Kansas City, they want to come to the Kansas, Missouri area and as a small market and start getting their product out. I think Ramari, this might be another one down the line here shortly, that needs some small markets to create some income so they can expand even more. But they have to do it in very precise, measured growth. It has to just, one, they're at a contract distillery. They don't get to make their own juice. They can only make the amount of juice that they can afford. Versus Ocho that just makes it. Well, one, because he controls everything. Fortaleza, similar but smaller in quantity of what they can produce. G4 makes tons of it. Even El Tequilino makes tons of it. But then again, it's not that. I mean, truly, it's not that well known in the U.S. Just like Suerte, though it's American owned, but it's made. Of course, it's all tequila is made in Mexico, and they've been around for a little while. I've known about Suerte for at least 5 years, maybe 6. One of the fastest growing tequilas in the U.S. is Lost Lore. And that's because, one, they picked a great distillery to start off with, and they have little, I don't want to call them gimmicks, but they do single barrel offerings that are extraordinary, that boost them up. Yeyo is a great tequila. Again, they've done little marketing things and special additions to get their name out there. Cascanes, again, just delicious small brand tequila. But there's I'm not even making a chip cracking that iceberg to explain how many. I think there was 300 new brands last year. 300, and I'm just talking about 10. So, what do we do to find a new tequila that you like? Jump out there, look around. There's plenty of places to go look for new tequilas. You can go to Sip Tequila, which is out of Florida. They're one of the largest online tequila retailers in the U.S. Coming up number 2 would be probably Old Town, El Cerrito. I mean, as far as mail order or online sales. There's some smaller ones out there that do it as well. Roadrunner's another one. Off Premise is another one. And these are all in different areas of the country. But in Kansas City, because due to Kansas and Missouri laws, we can't sell online alcohol and ship it out of state. That's us. California's not that way. Florida's not that way. Colorado's not that way. So there's always other alternatives. But if you find something that you like, let's say you're off on vacation, you find a tequila while you're out in California, going to Disneyland, or out in Florida, while you're going to Disney World, or wherever. It's like, well, we don't have this in Kansas City. You can go back to your retailer and say, hey, what would it take for you to get me this here? Well, then he has to ask his distributor or distributors if they have any access to these items. And that's how we promote to get these. And if they're not available yet, if they're not in our state, then either they can reach out to these owners. But what the tequila world is to me, or the tequila community that I deal with on a more regular basis, they are reaching out. Whether it's the Agave Social Club, All Things Tequila, Mary Carmen, reaching out to these brands and saying, hey, come talk to us. What can we do to help you? I know, there's many groups on Facebook and actual clubs that have been created from that point that are really promoting some of these new brands. And some of these new brands are small brands, are doing some really cool things. They're giving back to the community in Mexico. They're finding ways of getting fresh water into these villages that, where their employees work, or these people work as employees at some of the distilleries that make our tequila. So, without drawing this out too much longer, I mean, find a small brand, do a little search. Go, like I said, go to Sip Tequila and just look around. Go to Old Town Tequila and look around on the internet. Look at different ones. Ask questions. Go to Agave Matchmaker. Look around. It's easy to get in. It's easy to look around. You go to some of these other online retailers. Go to your local store. Go to ask somebody, say, hey, what is the best? What's the best retailer in Kansas City or in my area to go look at tequilas and ask questions? Because some of these owners are just as into it, or more so, than I am. Hard to believe, but it's true. And, whether we're talking about Mike's or Bubbles or Party Time or Macadoodles or even Total Wine, really don't like bringing them into the conversation, but they're the largest retailer in town. It used to be, Used to be somebody else, but that's no longer here. And yeah, so I can't think of it. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, but there's more and more owners of liquor stores that are coming in and saying, "Hey, I'm not selling this stuff." And one of the guys that lives in this area said, "I need to carry this and this and this. Can I get some of that?" "Oh, yeah. And then they sell it just like that. Wow. That was me and Liquor King in Harrisonville. I went in, and he had a couple things that I would buy, but he had a lot of stuff I wouldn't. And he asked me, "Well, what would you suggest?" And I gave him 5 suggestions. I said, "Let's just start with 5. And he said, "Why only 5? I said, showed him the picture of my wall. Of course, that was before we had the wall. We just had and how many different bottles of tequila I had on my shelf that was in the corner to what I have now and what he's carrying now. So he didn't have any Cascawin. He has Cascawin in there. He has Lost Lore in there. He has, of course, he has Ocho. He has a little bit of G4. He has, what else? But, he's getting more and more and more of these. He's got, and Yeyo. Now, Yeyo and Lalo. Lalo is one of those small brands that came on the market, and he worked, of course, he had some pretty good deep pockets to start this project and to get it moving and to get it in every state in the continental United States to sell. But he couldn't market it that well. And he got an offer he couldn't refuse. So, that what that allows him to do is that by selling controlling interest in his brand, allows him to still market his tequila. But now they, as the big conglomerate, which we're talking about Tito's Vodka, owns a controlling interest in Lalo Tequila, they can be everywhere where Tito's is at. And if you think about it, where is Tito's not? Well, that's not anywhere. They're in Walmarts. They're in grocery stores. They're in every liquor store. They're everywhere where alcohol is sold. So that just brings Yeyo Tequila along with it. No changes to the flavor, no changes to the recipe, no changes to the product. It's just how it's marketed and how it's sold and how it's distributed. It just means that he's got to make more tequila and concentrate on making more tequila, and then personally still bringing his brand to market. So I'm going to stop yakking because this is a conversation that goes on for hours, and I don't want to do that. But I wanted to pick. I'm going to go ahead and do Romari. I did do a review of this, and I've done a review of this. I've done a review of just about everything on my shelf, or I have done a video of it. I know there are a couple that are on the shelf that they didn't get a review because I haven't opened the bottle, or I'm on my 3rd bottle, and because of the price, I wasn't going to open it because it's kind of hard. One of those ones that's hard to find. But this can be bought online. You can see. I'm going to turn this around backwards. That's all that's left in this bottle, and I have a bottle of Reposado that has about the same amount. I just bought new bottles to replace these, and I can, by buying it online and buying it as a bundle, I bought 2 bottles for under $100. That's not bad for the quality that this tequila is. That's a great price. Yes, it's only 80 proof, but that's not. We're not buying it to just get drunk. We're buying it to taste. We're buying it to explore. This Blanco is a great tequila for mixed drinks because of its flavor profile on aromas and on the palate. And this is very, very citrus forward. It still has that sweet agave, cooked agave at the front, but then it melts. And somebody named it lemon lime tequila. Yeah, and it's all natural. There's no additives in this to make it taste that way. And then when they put it in the barrel, it changed the flavor profile altogether. It's delicious all the way around. The sake yeast is what is the trick. It's that major component, that major of being of sake yeast has changed this to where there are so many possibilities on if you were a mixologist to make a mixed drink using this tequila. Let's pour a little bit, and then I'll let you guys go. Yeah, it's like I'm getting lemon peel right off the bat. But it's a beautiful tequila. It clings to the glass. See if I can get it in. There we go. Look at it clinging to the glass. with the legs running down. Beautiful, beautiful tequila. Has a wonderful aroma. It's I felt very fortunate in the first video I did. CJ had gone down. I don't know if he was by himself. I think he was by himself, but he had gone down and of course Sergio Cruz sitting home with all these bottles of experiments and samples and he brought it back and he goes, I tried this one. They use sake yeast on it. He goes, you're not going to believe it. He goes, I can let you try it, but we're putting it back away because that's mine. Well, then him telling me about that, and then when I came across this, I bought it and I took the unopened bottles, this bottle and the to a bottle share, and he was like, "Yep, yeah," because it's a little different, but that's it. Of course, what he was trying was at still strength or something of that nature, but. Let's get this a little sip, get our mouth ready for some tasting. Wow. There's an explosion of citrus fruit. It numbed my tongue so good I can't talk. But it's right mid-palate. Boom. You get lime, you get lemon, you get that sweet agave, you get a little bit of a sweetness, a little minerality going along with it. It's just inside your mouth. And and then it's it's there, and it's still finishing in the back of my throat. It's delicious, and it's not super expensive. It's not $29 a bottle. No, it's $49 to $50 a bottle. But small batch, small brand tequilas that's a good average price. We're not talking hundreds of dollars. We're not talking $100 a bottle. We're not talking $150 a bottle. There's bottles that are going to cost like that. I mean, we were talking about one new brand that is starting called House of Rare. And their first offering was $230, $250 a bottle. Oh, I'm sure, and I haven't even tried it yet. It's not in my budget. But I've talked about, I've talked about it with friends that have bottles. And they're like, you have to try it. There's no way to explain it until you try it. Because it's completely different than any other Blanco you've ever tried. And it's not because of proof, though the proof is up there a little bit. It's got a really pretty bottle. But that is the goal of that brand. And that brand was more of a barrel house that did several different things before it really got into tequila. I have a Cascaween private barrel of Reposado that was commissioned by House of Rare. Still sold through as a Cascaween bottle, not under their own name or their own brand, that is just flipping out of this world. The flavors and aromas that come off of that thing are just crazy compared to normal production Reposados out of Cascaween that are on their own merit delicious. So find a new brand you like. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Come and join us at a bottle share. Like I said, go to Facebook, and then we're now on Instagram at Kansas City Tequila Hunters on Instagram and on Facebook, and find out about what we have to offer. I think those of us here in Kansas City have a lot to offer as far as knowledge, as far as products. We can, come and say, hey, this is my favorite tequila. And, if you don't have anything to bring, well, that's kind of okay. There's plenty of bottles. And you can buy a pour there at the bar at Old Shawnee Pizza. It's the saloon. That's the one thing William has really done a really good job at, is he has good quality tequilas by the pour. And so, come check us out. If you have any questions, just message, the administrators for the Facebook page. They will answer you back. They'll send you either a private message or whatever, or just put something in the comment, and they'll answer back, or I'll answer back for them. It all depends if I see it, and anything. And message me, put a comment here in the video, or check me out on Facebook and Instagram, and it's Tequila Time 65, or in my personal one, and you can reach me so many different ways through Facebook and through Instagram. I have, I believe, all those places are available on my bio page here on YouTube. So let's give this another sip. Again, cooked agave right in the front. As it moves back into your mouth, you're going to get a lime and a lemon peel, zest, a little juice going along with it, mixing them with that sweet. I get a little bit of pepper on the back end, but not very much. And burn, I mean, you're drinking alcohol, but it's not Kentucky Hug. And then it's gone. And it's just flavor. Delicious. And like I said, price point, this is one of the many ways to go. Like I said, there's so many tequilas out there for you to enjoy. So pick a good one. Try it. Share it with your friends. Check out my videos. I've got over 100 videos on, with reviews and where to go find these wonderful tequilas. At least some of these that are here in town. And come and join with us in promoting this tequila culture, especially here in Kansas City, but everywhere. So, till we meet again, drink good tequila. It'll be good to you. Salud. See you later, my friends. Goodbye.